Good evening. The South Carolina Republican presidential primary election is happening right now.
And WYFF News 4 has live team coverage from Charleston to Columbia to Greenville to Spartanburg. South Carolina is pivotal when it comes to presidential elections. Since 1980, only one time has a candidate won the South Carolina primary and not gone on to win the nomination. That was Mitt Romney in 2012.
Tonight, former President Donald Trump hopes to continue that. Our Jane Roblo is live in Columbia at the state fairgrounds with the Trump campaign. Jane.
Well, Nigel and Carol, the Moore Center is full of Trump supporters already, a very enthusiastic crowd. They've started waiting in line around 3:30 this afternoon. Let me step out of the way so you can see a little bit of the party going on behind me here. South Carolina is important to Donald Trump, and it has been since his first run to the presidency. In 2016, Henry McMaster was the first statewide elected official in the entire nation to endorse Trump. McMaster was lieutenant governor at the time. Now, the former president easily won both the 2016 and the 2020 primaries in South Carolina and the general elections in South Carolina. There were a number of statewide elected officials endorsing him this time, even though the polls show that he has a clear win over Nikki Haley. Definitely Donald Trump is being supported by the people who have the most credibility within the people of the state, the voters.
So I am standing behind Donald J. Trump. I have been supporting the president since 2015, so it was an easy choice for me to make. And I believe he's the guy for the job. He has on-the-job experience. We have a border crisis.
That's the opinion of many of South Carolina's statewide leaders, and that's the message that Donald Trump took to voters in the upstate, meeting with people in Greenville and also a rally in Rock Hill last night, and we will see what the night holds. Nikki Haley is vowing to stay in this race, no matter what the results are tonight. Rashad Williams is in Charleston with the Haley campaign. Rashad?
Well, Jane, not a whole lot going on here at the Charleston Place Hotel at the moment, but you're absolutely right. Nikki Haley has vowed to stay in this race regardless of today's primary results. Now, leading up to this point, we know that Nikki Haley has been hard at work on the campaign trail across the state this week, and I want to do a quick recap of some of those stops like Greenville, for example, Moncks Corner, and Mount Pleasant. Throughout the week, Haley has consistently been critical of things like Trump's age, his relationship with Russia, and pointing the finger at Trump for some of the nation's current debt. She says the country is dealing with Biden-Trump fatigue, and it is simply time to move forward. So earlier today, the former South Carolina governor was spotted casting her vote in Kiowa Island alongside her mom and kids. During an interview there, she said her team campaigned throughout the day and reminded everyone that within the next 10 days, another 21 states and territories will be able to have their voices heard.
And then we're going to keep going all the way through Super Tuesday. That's as far as I've thought in terms of going forward. We've placed ad buys. We've gone and put out the public schedule of where we're going to be. And so we're going to keep on going.
For a little background, Haley was former governor for 2 terms from 2011 to 2017, but she was eventually appointed by former President Trump as a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Haley has stated she's okay with not winning South Carolina, but hopes it closes the gap between her and Trump in this race for the party's nomination. So regardless, again, want to reiterate, regardless of today's results, Nikki Haley has vowed to stay in this race. And at this point, we are less than an hour away from the polls closing. We'll continue to bring you the latest from Charleston as the results roll in. We'll have live coverage throughout the night. Nigel, Carol, back to you.
Rashad, Jane, thank you. Let's talk about voting. Greenville is considered South Carolina's biggest county.
And is one of the counties former President Trump won in the 2016 Republican presidential primary. Our Carlos Flores is live at the Greenville County election headquarters. Carlos.
Hey, good evening there, Nigel and Carol. We do know around 205,000 people already early voted for the Republican presidential primary. To put that in perspective, around 131,000 people voted in total for the Democratic presidential primary earlier this year. Now let's take a closer look at Greenville. We know more than 23,000 people early voted for this race. That's second in South Carolina behind Horry County. Looking back to 2016, more than 740,000 700,000 people voted in the Republican presidential primary. Of course, that race had more candidates. Of those 740,000 votes, 93,000 came from Greenville County. That's around 8%. Now, Greenville County election officials say as of right now, 65,000 people have already cast their ballots, not including those early voting numbers. But they say they understand this process will take some time, and they want to make sure it's done right.
We hope 10:30, 11 o'clock. We should be, we hope, close to finish, but, we will be deliberate in what we do. And, if it's a little bit longer than that, then it's a little bit longer than that.
Now, if you're planning to vote today, you must report to your assigned precinct and not to one of the early voting locations. And it's important to remember you must be in line by 7 p.m. tonight in order to vote. But for now, live in Greenville, Carlos Flores, WYFF News 4.
Carlos, thank you. Now to Spartanburg County. Election officials say they're experiencing moderate turnout for today's primary.
Our Ray Urena is at the Spartanburg County election headquarters with how things are going there. Ray?
Well, Nigel and Carol, there were around 11,400 people who voted early in Spartanburg County. And in the early afternoon, officials say their turnout for the Republican presidential primary is sitting at just under 20%. Now, John Baucom, the director for voter registration and elections, say they saw their peak voting hours at around 10:30 this morning. He says there have not been many issues with voting, with precincts reporting wait times of around 10 minutes or less. Compared to the Democratic primary a few weeks ago, Baucom says it's almost a night and day difference.
So in the Democratic primary, we had a total of almost 4,800 voters for the entire Democratic presidential primary. So we voted almost as many in our peak hour today as we did in an entire 2-week early voting period and election day for the Democratic primary.
Baucom says this is the first time counties like Spartanburg have offered early voting for a presidential primary. Heading into November, he expects between 30 to 35% of votes in the general election to come through early voting. Now, what does that mean? Baucom says that may mean more equipment with more poll workers and more polling locations as the election moves forward. And like Carlos just mentioned, polls are open until 7 o'clock. So if you're in line, make sure you stay there to make sure your vote counts. Live in Spartanburg County, Ray Urena, WYFF News 4.
Ray, thank you. All right, let's talk statewide. Election officials say we've already far surpassed the South Carolina Democratic primary turnout. And so far today, that trend has continued.
WYFF News 4's Peyton Furtado up early as today's very first voters cast their ballots.
Yeah, this morning polls opened around the upstate to lines as people braved the cold, wanting to make sure their vote counts before tonight's final tally. As voters like Megan Bruska drove to the polls early to cast their ballots,
there's some changes that need to, happen. So we want that to happen.
Poll workers prepared for a steady stream of voters.
Put your name tags on, put on a smile. It's going to be a great day. Yes. All right, a good day. Let's do it.
It's something that we want everybody to do. That's why we're here. We want everybody to come out and exercise their right to vote.
These men and women undergo weeks of training ahead of time, all to make sure the process goes smoothly.
Will not advise any voter as to how he should vote at this election.
And stays unbiased. They're a vital part of the primaries and will play an even bigger role in November's presidential election.
I think we could use a lot more people that's going to be dedicated and wants to serve their community.
Saturday, local voters filled parking lots and ballot boxes.
All right, so you're good to go.
Casting votes that could determine our nation's future.
Because it's my duty, I think, as a citizen to vote,
There needs to be some changes with the border, the economy. I moved from New Orleans, Louisiana to here because the crime was outrageous. So, yeah, lots of things need to change.
I believe that everybody should come out and vote. It's very important. We need to make a change in this country.
Remember, you have until 7 o'clock tonight to cast your vote. Don't show up at your early voting polling place. If you don't know where you need to go, you can head to WYFF4.com. We have more information there. In Greenville County, I'm Peyton Furtado, WYFF News 4.
So 45 minutes now until the polls close. Remember, WYFF News 4 is your home for Commitment 2024 coverage. You can find a voter's guide right now on WYFF4.com and the WYFF4 mobile app. Tomorrow, we will bring you live coverage on air and online with more on the results.